Boris Johnson acknowledges lockdown rules in England are now more complex and says he understands people's frustrations.
The Prime Minister warns a vaccine for coronavirus may never come, but says the UK is leading global efforts to develop one. Eurovision meets its Waterloo. ABBA wins the vote to find the competition's greatest song. Work on the HS2 high-speed railway is badly off course. That's according to a report published today by a group of MPs who scrutinised public spending. The Public Accounts Committee report says leaders of the project had lost contact with reality and calls on the government to regularly update Parliament with accurate information. The Department for Transport said the project has been comprehensively reset with a revised budget and funding regime.
The UK's super rich have lost more than £54 billion in the past 2 months because of the Covid-19 pandemic. This according to the annual Sunday Times Rich List published this morning. The inventor Sir James Dyson, best known for his vacuum cleaner, tops the list for the first time. He's now worth just over £16 billion. There is a record 25 female billionaires on this year's list.
Take a look at the front pages now. Should we start with the Telegraph? They talk about raised hopes of a breakthrough treatment for Covid-19. Doctors talking about an anti-blood clotting medicine as a potential lifesaver. That's according to the Telegraph anyway. The paper says specialists in London discovered potentially deadly blood clots in patients who died with the virus, and that's something that we were talking about on this programme yesterday. I wasn't, but I know it was discussed, so that's one potential positive bit of news this morning. Indeed,
yeah. Let's have a look at the Observer. There's a growing revolt over the easing of lockdown restrictions in England, according to the front page of the Observer. Paper reporting on findings of a poll which shows support for the government has fallen since Boris Johnson's speech a week ago.
Britain's super rich have lost a combined £54 billion due to the coronavirus pandemic. This is according to the Sunday Times. They've got that annual rich list out. At least 63 people on the 2020 list have sought government funding to furlough staff. The paper has been looking into that. You might have seen, I think it was on Friday, it was announced the government was going to be giving money to a project where they're training dogs to sniff out coronavirus.
Yeah, when I first saw that, I thought it was a joke.
Well, no, because we know that they successfully do it for patients with, for example, Parkinson's. It's been done in other cases as well. So the Mail on Sunday's looked into this a bit more, and look at this beautiful dog here. Now, Asha is already a medical sniffer dog, medical detection dog, and she is able to sniff out malaria. She has very, very acute sense of smell and has been trained to do that, and is now part of this project to see if she can sniff out or detect any differences in COVID patients as well, which is an interesting, just little sort of side hustle in terms of what else is being done to detect
particularly in the context of all of this concern about people who are asymptomatic but could be giving it to people. But if the dog can intervene and sniff out the virus, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Page 5 of the Sunday Times caught my eye this morning. This is no Britpop battle as far as the charts are concerned, with that reference to Oasis and Blur, but instead talking about Dame Vera Lynn, who is 103, and Captain Tom Moore, who is still in his first flush of youth at 100, relatively speaking, and how the two of them have been involved in something of a charts battle with We'll Meet Again, Dame Vera Lynn's hit, making its first appearance in the single charts since 1939. Boris Johnson has acknowledged that the new lockdown guidelines for England are more complicated than his previous message to stay at home.
Mr Johnson said he understands that people will feel frustrated with the new rules, which he announced a week ago, and that he trusts in what he calls the good sense of the British people.
The Prime Minister has warned that a vaccine for coronavirus may never come, but says the UK is leading efforts to develop one. The government is investing £93 million to bring forward by a year the construction of a new vaccine manufacturing centre in Oxford. It'll have the capacity to produce enough vaccine doses for the UK population in just 6 months, if one is found.